All right, so this next video is from a non-Star Citizen channel, but is from How Money Works, and it's called the Predatory Monetization of Video Games. So we'll see how this one turns out.
The internet was gaining popularity at a rapid.
Let's start it
In the
over.
late 1990s, the internet was gaining popularity at a rapid rate, and tech enthusiasts were starting to download video game content straight off this new communications platform. In the early days, these pieces of downloadable content, or DLC, were primarily things like fan-made extensions to popular video games and Doom mods. Lots and lots of Doom mods. It was mostly harmless fun amongst a small group of technically proficient gamers and developers. This would change with the introduction of online gaming platforms like MMOs and Microsoft's Xbox Live, which allowed players to make purchases directly over the internet. For the first few years, this was mostly game companies selling subscriptions to play in their virtual worlds or selling small expansion packs online, which wouldn't justify a new game release in their own right.
What game is that?
The pushback was minimal,
What game was that?
And most players were actually excited to be able to pay $4 or $5 to get an extra few hours worth of gameplay without having to go to GameStop to buy an entirely new game.
Is that Age of Empires?
This was until 2006, when Bethesda, the developer of the Elder Scrolls series, released DLC which added nothing to the game other than armor for your in-game horse. This $2.50 optional download in a single-player game was the first time that players actively pushed back at the idea of paying money for pixels that otherwise added nothing to the game. Despite the negativity, the horse armor became the 9th best-selling DLC for the Elder Scrolls game, beating out entire expansion packs which took thousands of hours in development time to produce. By contrast, the horse armor was just a 3D model which took a 3D artist an afternoon to put together.
Now look at us, guys. Now look at us. Look at what that horse armor started. That horse armor made an entire Star Citizen community.
Gaming studios saw this success, and 18 years later, most of the money made by the $180 billion gaming industry comes from sales made after the customer has already purchased the game. This might seem harmless to most of you watching. You might even think it's a good way to subsidize the cost of development, making video games cheaper for people who are not interested in these in-game purchases. But these seemingly harmless pixels are being knowingly exploited to prey on some of the most vulnerable people in our society. To find out why, it's time to learn how money works, which was made possible today by Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a daily email newsletter which keeps you up to date with what's going on in the world of business, tech, finance, crypto, and culture, all in a simple, easy to digest format.
Very cool.
Each daily newsletter features short segments which will take you no more than a minute to read, but will still get you up to speed with what's going on in the world, all while providing handy short links if you do want to read further. Morning Brew mixes in some heavy-hitting stories about major world events with other more niche stories like this one about an NFT collector who lost over $2 million in Bored Apes after falling for a run-of-the-mill phishing scam. This story was actually very useful to me as I was writing this video. You'll find out why shortly. Morning Brew is the best way to start a productive day, and the best part of it is it's completely free. So there's absolutely no risk in finding out how much better informed you can be when you pair your morning coffee with a scroll of Morning Brew. Check out the link below to easily sign up. Video game developers are companies with a profit.
Now, what is wrong with this is what somebody just said in chat, is that's why these people release games early now. Is now they don't even feel they need to give you the full game. They'll just make you pay for it later. And or to even finish the game, they'll put out an unfinished game, have the microtransactions, and then you literally pay them to finish it for you. So it's like there's so much problems with the current
motive
and I think the real issue here is what we all want is for companies to have morals, but that will never happen. Like I don't know, at least in the US doesn't require companies to have a moral standard. We just give them benefits to give money to charity is I think like the most that the U.S. government does to kind of force some morality onto U.S. companies. But I don't know. This is just a very uninformed person speaking here, but yeah.
In many instances, shareholders who they need to keep happy. Selling a game once is great, but it means there is a set amount of money that can be made from a set amount of games. Exceptions do exist. Somehow I have managed to buy Skyrim for the PS3, PS4, and PC, but I don't like to talk about it. The problem here is that some people are only willing to spend $20 a month on video games where other people are happy to spend thousands. You could try to charge thousands of dollars for your game, but unfortunately, not many people would be willing to pay that price.
Yes.
The only way to truly maximize profit is to get every possible gamer to pay the maximum possible amount that they are individually willing to pay for the game. That's impossible to achieve with a direct sale. A GameStop employee can't be expected to look over someone's financial records before setting an asking price for a copy of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, so you need to be smarter. What you need to do is offer a game that gets slightly better the more you pay for it. If you want to get really crafty, you can make the game itself free to download and play, but lock big advantages behind in-game transactions. Your free version of Clash of Clans is probably a perfectly fine game, but you will be destroyed by another dude that drops $2,000 a month upgrading his base. It might be annoying for you,
True.
but it's great for the game company. Most people only play their game because it's free. Some might throw in a few bucks to pay.
Star Citizen is a perfectly fine game if you just have an Aurora, right? But you're going to get destroyed by a group of people in a Carrack or somebody in a Gladius or whatever, right? But yeah, so it's very much ties into Star Citizen progression as well. And this is what I don't like about the ship sales aspect is not everybody starts in the same place and you are absolutely getting an advantage. It's just what it is. No, and not everything is Star Citizen combat either. If you were going to go to do cargo hauling, would be the better example is, I can't cargo haul as much in an Aurora as I can in a C2, right?
Pay for a premium subscription. And then there are a few hundred so-called whales that drop $1,000 a month to make sure they are the most powerful players possible. This game extracted the maximum possible amount of money out of everybody that plays it. The game developers aren't even worried about all the players who aren't even paying them a cent. They might cost them a small marginal amount for server hosting, but they are offering back something far more valuable. They are the entertainment for the whales who are paying thousands of dollars a month.
Exactly.
Someone isn't going to keep paying more money to upgrade their weapons if they can't use them to absolutely dominate some poor kid who thought they would just try out a free mobile game. Business students call this price skimming, where businesses will alter their prices for the same product for different people in order to maximize profits. Gamers call this pay to win.
Yeah.
Monetization in games takes on a few different forms. The best type of game in the gamer's eye is a game that is free with no outlets for monetization at all. The problem is, of course, that this doesn't generate any revenue for whoever put the time and effort into developing the game. That doesn't mean that these games don't exist though, and I salute the dedicated souls behind them. The next step down from there are games that are free to play that sell game items that make cosmetic changes only. A new hat for your character or a dapper new outfit. It doesn't improve your stats in the game, but it's cool to look at, and some people are happy to pay some money for the outfits, which keeps the game financed.
Sure. And
pretty good trade if you ask me.
This is the route that I like to see Star Citizen go as much as possible, and we do give them a hard time about the paints and selling paints and selling armors, but the issue that I take with it is you're selling like the individual pieces and they only go with certain ships, and it's not customizable and user friendly enough. But that's where I want Star Citizen's model to be as much as humanly possible, is for the focus on monetization to be there. But the problem is that there's the microtransactions that we have with that on top of the buy yourself an Idris and be a god.
One worse than that is games that you need to pay for up front, but also offer cosmetic items.
Well, that's where
Again, these items don't give you any special advantage over other players in the game, but if you've already paid $60 for a video game, you might not like having more shit marketed to you in the game itself. Worse again are free games that...
But in no way does this affect you... It doesn't affect the gameplay negatively. And I have no issue, and I don't know how many people would, have an issue with paying for a game, but then the company trying to make a little bit more. At least my mentality with this is paying for a game, but a company trying to extract as much out of you as possible is totally within their right. I do not have to click on it, but I do understand that that still can be predatory because some people have a weaker, I don't want to use the word weak, but are more prone to have negative things happen to them through buying cosmetic DLCs or whatever. The issue that I would have is literally upgrading yourselves to be more powerful because you paid for something. That is what I call problematic, and this is where I would love Star Citizen to be. You buy your initial game package, you get some cosmetic stuff, everything else you earn in game. I think we all know that that ship has sailed a long time ago.
Have in-game advantages for sale. Mobile games are notorious for this. You can download Rise of Warship Legends for free, but if you want to be competitive against other players, you are almost forced into paying money to skip arbitrary timers and unlock powerful items. The absolute worst are games that you need to pay for, but still offer in-game advantages for money. When EA
And that is Star Citizen, and that is why we hate it.
released Star Wars Battlefront, they were met with, moderate resistance for locking characters like Darth Vader behind real cash paywalls or obscenely difficult in-game challenges. But what's the actual harm here? It might make some games a little bit less fun, but it's not like anybody is forcing you to play them. Well, the harm comes to the people that unfortunately already do.
Yeah.
A 2018 report by Daniel King of the Society for the Study of Addiction has reported that video game addiction is very real, and that addiction is being preyed upon by game companies to extract a lot of money out of a surprisingly small group of people. Whales is a term typically used by casinos to describe patrons that gamble significant amounts of money.
7 stars members for this casino, and a few others. So, yeah.
The casinos will cater to these high rollers in any way that they can so they keep coming back and losing more money at the tables. Whales in video games are just the same,
Yes.
and video game companies cater to them in the same way. You want to feel like an absolute badass? Drop $200 on in-game gems that will let you crush any opponent, except for maybe the guy that spent $500 on gems. The report explains that this rewards your brain by tricking it into believing that purchasing in-game items is just part of skillful gameplay.
And then, not only that, but we're going to give you a forum where you can all discuss amongst yourselves about how badass you are in comparison to everyone else. Like, that is where Star Citizen takes it to a whole nother level. Concierge forums. You can only buy these things if you are this thing. Like, they take it to a level where you can only buy something if you spent enough money to buy that thing. Like, that is where it's like insane levels of entitlement created by the players and just like Chad levels of you haven't spent $25,000 on our game yet, sorry, can't have this gold and black paint skin like for your ship. $10,000, sorry guys, remember that ship that we said we weren't gonna sell? Well, guess what, we are now. If you spend $10,000, you can get the F8 Lightning and on top of it with the special skin to show how cool you actually are. Like, those are the things where we're just like, yo, man, Star Citizen, stop it. You're embarrassing.
This becomes all the more sinister when the game companies spend years refining their systems to maximize this effect on your brain.
Yes,
Perhaps nowhere,
but not refining their gameplay systems to be more fun. And, you know, I don't know if this shit will ever change, but I see Star Citizen spending a lot more time on certain things than others. And it's not just the artists who make ships possible, right? It's a lot of other people. And you have your vehicle experience team maybe spending a lot more time on balancing that next new spaceship than they are spending on how the spaceship should fly in the first place.
is this clearer to see than in the loot box. For those of you who don't know, a loot box is a collective term given to in-game purchases that offer out random items. This means that a player could spend money on an in-game purchase and not get the item that they really wanted. They may not get any item of value at all. Loot boxes add this element of chance into this toxic cocktail of predatory monetization, which can lock even the most pragmatic players into a loop of trying just one more spin to try and get that super rare character. The next tool that these companies will use to their advantage is the player base themselves. Online games are meant to be social. For many serious gamers, they spend more time with their online friends than they do interacting with the people in the real world, especially during the pandemic. There are 3 types of people that gamers will meet in these games.
Okay.
Players that are better than them because they spend a lot of money, players that are worse than them but will offer an ego boost to the gamer who did spend a lot of money, and peers who have been conditioned by the game to not think too critically about dropping a few $100 for a slight in-game advantage.
And
Humans are both
that right person, I think, is most Star
social and competitive beings. Gamers are on average more isolated than non-gamers, so when they get the chance to spend a little cash to flex in the social setting that they spend the most time in, most of them will take it. All of these people...
Star Citizen goes so far as they made they didn't do this on purpose, I don't think, but the game is so unenjoyable where the grind to earn progression in the game without spending money is that bad that you have players buying ships just to be able to interact with the game in the way that they would want to, because it's not worth the effort to grind it. Let's use PvPers for examples. I would imagine they're constantly going back and forth and melting for the next meta ship. And then cargo haulers you're always just getting the biggest ship is the route there. And mining is just mining. There really isn't enough there. But then what else is there? There really isn't anything else, right?
Without even realizing it, we'll be pushing each other to spend more money in-game, which is a big reason why some of the most profitable games in the world are free. The final tool is big data. Since most of these games are played online, the developers have one final advantage in the battle to extract cash from their customers' pockets. It's impossible for a gamer to know more about the game than the game company knows about them. Anybody who has played these types of games will be able to attest to the very confusing currency systems in the game. Some games will have multiple different currencies to collect. Gems, coins, pearls, and they will all be used to unlock different things in the game. A coin might be used to pay for armor, but you will need pearls to unlock special spells, and cosmetic outfits can only be paid for with gems. Many people have compared this to casinos giving players poker chips instead of letting them play with...
Yeah, dude, big chips always at the bottom, okay? You can't put the small chips above the big chips. You make the dealer do that every time. It's annoying. Don't do that.
Actual money, because people don't experience the same emotional response handing over a $100 poker chip as they would with a $100 bill. This is no doubt part of the strategy, but I think in-game tokens are worse, because while poker chips have a clear face value, these games make it really hard to work out how much value you are actually getting out of an in-game purchase.
What is the monetary value of a gem?
It introduces an exchange rate. The last thing you want to be doing while enjoying a game is exchange rate math. Because of this, game companies can present tailored offers to gamers to maximize the chances that they go and pull out their credit card. Activision and EA both have patents on their microtransaction systems, and they keep them so closely guarded because they are the primary revenue generator for these two.
This is why Microsoft bought Activision and Blizzard. It's not to make WoW better. Stop smoking the copium. They bought it to have that revenue generator. Guaranteed. Okay? They needed it. They tried to make their own and they couldn't, and now they just said, screw it, 70 billion we'll give you. And that's it.
Two ginormous public companies. These companies want to form habits. A player who spends $100 every week is worth far more than a player who spends $1,000 just once. This also slowly allows players to fall into the biggest trap of all time, the sunk cost. A game company is likely to
the sunk cost galaxy?
To make a very modest offer with a big reward first. If the gamer decides to purchase that offer, all subsequent offers will become gradually more expensive with declining true in-game value. Remember, this is made intentionally hard to keep track of because of the different in-game currencies the developers use. By the time the gamer realizes what has happened, they might have spent thousands of dollars on a video game that they thought they would be playing for free. At that point, there is no point in putting the game down because they have already sunk so much time and effort into playing this game that it would be silly to stop now. A lot of these video game whales are not wealthy either. On the contrary, the report found that a lot of these purchases were paid for with debt that the gamer had no way of paying back. So what are you to do when you have mounting debt and a partner that is angry at you for spending your grocery money on a virtual battleship? You look for an escape.
You get a divorce.
Of course. And what better escape exists than an online universe filled with your enthusiastic friends who all think that you're a
Because if your wife doesn't let you spend thousands of dollars on spaceships, what use do you have for her?
hero because you unlocked the Ultra Mega Sword, which you could upgrade right now to the Giga Ultra Mega Sword for just $29.99.
True.
Preying on habitual addictive behavior from socially isolated people who just want a platform to socialize on is extremely unethical. Every bit as unethical as a casino without even offering the chance for these players to make any of their money back. Now, if you want to learn about more ways that companies are intentionally hijacking internet culture for their own profit, go and watch my video on the companies intentionally fueling the meme bubble to profit off people investing into securities like GameStop, AMC, and cryptocurrencies. Since this video was obviously not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, I want to say another thank you to Morning Brew, my patrons and channel members, for making it possible for everybody to keep on learning how money works.
That's actually funny. Well, thank you for that, How Money Works. That was interesting. That was a really good video. And it shows how susceptible you may be to these things. And like, wow, I'm stupid. But then it also, for me, helps me be like, okay, well, at least I have some self-control, because some people are beyond help. Now, working in a casino, I can tell you that some people are beyond help. And oftentimes, the news articles and things like that are going to show those people in these grand cases and these things. Some people are beyond help, and maybe I am a glass half empty person, but I've seen it so many times that some people are beyond help, but so many are able to be helped when they have self-control issues, gambling addictions, things like that. Many people are, but some are not, and I think the news articles are usually written about the people who have no hope. If they weren't going to get addicted by this, they were going to get addicted by something else, and they're not helping themselves and blaming the company about it. That is a whole nother issue that I don't necessarily want to get into, but it is scary to see where game companies are going and what's happening. And yeah, I'm not excited for its future. It doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. You know, after watching that video, it's only going to get worse.